delusional, a misleading of the mind, denial, an affirmation of the contrary, rejection of, what did it say? This is coming from the Webster 1828 dictionary. Um, Refusal to acknowledge facts is denial. For the last week or so, I've spoken with a few people about their interactions with people when it comes to romantic relationships, dating, business relationships, but mainly with the romantic relationships and the dating. Um, the reason why I'm bringing up the denial, affirmation of the contrary, rejection, what did it say? Refusal to acknowledge, right? And the delusion, which, what did I say it was earlier? Because I'm trying to remember. But basically, a tricking of the mind, right? When you're delusional, you're trying to get the mind to accept something that is not true, to accept the facts. Denial is trying to not acknowledge. And I keep saying this over and over again because um, a few of the people that I've talked to have been men. And the men were talking to me about women that were not accepting the truth about the man's acknowledgement, the man's truth about how he feels. Um, and what I have noticed is because, and I said this to both, the two of them, to both of them, I understand these women, fortunately and unfortunately, because I used to be those women. Do I work on it a little bit still? Yes, but I'm not as far gone as some of those women, right? And what both men were saying that were synonymous with each other, right? I think that's the correct word to use for now, is that they both were explaining to the women that, hey, this is what the issue is. This is what, this is why I don't feel the way I feel towards you, right? And the women were like, one woman was like, you need to let me fix it, right? Let me fix it. And the other woman was like, I don't understand. Then why are you with me, right? Um, Using examples of myself really quickly, right? I will try to explain to the best of my ability this denial and this delusion when it comes to what these men are talking about. I will use myself as an example for the, let's see, 2015. I'll use that, right? 2015, as you guys have heard that story before about how I was going through my divorce slash separation, right? And during that time, I did not want to accept some of the things that were being said by my ex-husband. And at the time, he kept saying, to me, he kept saying words to me that I'm like, these don't even sound like your words. That was the first step of the denial. He would say, well, we're just not on the same page. We're not on the same page. And I'm like, you ain't been saying this. Who is this talking to you? Because on an intuitive level, people do know, an empathic level, people do know when you're talking to other people, when you start saying words that don't even sound like you, like it doesn't even sound right. But that was step one of the delusion, was he was saying that, hey, you're not on the same page. We're not on the same page. And I couldn't figure out why you're saying this because we're married. You said you love me. You said this was, your first time getting married, your last time getting married. It was definitely was my last time getting married. And he just felt as though that that the experiences that I gave him, that he was no longer, he didn't want to be a part of that. The denial that I had was that I felt like he didn't want me because I wasn't doing enough. I felt like maybe if I did more, maybe if I showed him more, maybe if I did more for him, he would circle back around, right? And maybe he would make the choice to choose me. And I feel like with denial and the delusion, right? Was thinking that I could change his mind when he had already made up his mind. And facts, here's the facts. He was already gone, right? He was already not like, I'm not coming home. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to do anything. And I felt like somewhere inside of me I could fix it and make him love me or make him want to come back to me, right? I even gave him an ultimatum, right? Now this is the tricky part because I this also happened to somebody that I know, right? And I was like, wow, when you're on the other side of this, it kind of looks crazy, right? And so what I said to him was in an angry voice, you need to tell me what I need to do so that we can stay together. You need to tell me what it is I need to do. When I thought about this process, right, it's like me giving him an ultimatum to give me an ultimatum of who I need to be so that I can change myself to stay with him. Now, I know that might have sounded a little bit confusing, so I'm going to say that again because when I had that epiphany in this other conversation, I thought, wait a minute, that can possibly be right, right? That just doesn't it sounds, I'll just say not right. I'll say, instead of choosing other words, I'll say it sounds like denial and it sounds very delusional, right? Because delusional is an affirmation of the contrary, right? Denial is rejection and refusal to acknowledge the facts, right? So I was in denial and I was delusional. I want you to tell me. Just tell me, what do I need to do to stay with you? All you have to do is tell. Do you realize in that moment when you're doing that, when you're upset and you're trying to convince somebody of what they need to do so that they can make you happy, that you are in denial? I don't care what that is, right? You're trying to convince what, so you are giving somebody, let me get this right, okay, because this is what happened with Tina. I'm giving away my power to somebody and saying, you tell me what I need to do to stay with you. I am giving my power away, right? When the person has already told me, I don't want to be with you. I'm not talking about people that are in long term relationships or that are married and that are trying to compromise, not sacrifice your happiness, but trying to compromise, come to a happy agreement so that we can both be happy and we can both stay together. This message is not for you. I'm not talking about you, right? Who I'm talking about is the people that are not willing to accept the rejection that someone is giving them because they want to stay with the person out of fear of loss, out of fear of I may never see this person again, out of fear of, oh my God, I don't think I'll ever fall in love again. And let me tell you something. Every time I thought I wouldn't fall in love, I found somebody to fall in love with. So there's somebody out there for you to fall in love with, right? But giving somebody an ultimatum, you tell me, you tell me what I need to do so that I can stay with you. My question to you is this: when did you start loving that person more than you love yourself? When did you start loving that person more than you began to love yourself? Because I know, like in the example that I used, that's exactly what happened. And in 2015, when I started going on that journey to save my marriage, I ended up saving myself because I began learning who it is that Tina is, who it is that I am, right? Some people's like, why are you talking third person? Okay, me. I learned who I was. I began to start learning how to function without this person, right? I started doing the things that I love. Did I go through a stage and a period of loneliness? Absolutely, I did. Did I go through a stage of wondering if that person was going to come back? Absolutely, I did. Did I wonder if I was ever going to fall in love? Absolutely, I did, right? But here's the thing: if you are currently giving somebody an ultimatum to give you the tools to stay with them, and they are not giving you the tools, and they don't have a desire to give you those tools, get out of the stage of denial. Get out of the affirmation of the contrary. Stop refusing to acknowledge and start acknowledging what this person is saying to you. Acknowledge what the person is showing you, right? If you are not willing to accept that and you choose to stay, don't turn around and become a victim and make it like this person is the one that is keeping you in a period of waiting, or keeping you from moving forward, or keeping you from being happy. The only person who can do those things are you, because you have a choice. You cannot blame somebody because they feel like my ex-husband was telling me, we're not on the same page, right? It took at that time almost a year and a half for me to get it through my head that he was not coming back and that he wanted to be with somebody else, right? And he was, in fact, with somebody else. Not wanting to give up on love is understandable. This was my lesson, as is many of your lessons. And I'm not saying you should give up on every person. I'm not even saying you should give up on your spouse. But what I am saying is, if that person is saying to you, hey, I don't want to be with you, or I'm not in alignment, or we're not on the same page, right? Or even if this person is not verbally telling you, um, they're not this person may not verbally be telling you, but they may be showing you through action, right? Because sometimes the mouth says one thing and then the actions do something different, or sometimes the actions, do one thing and the mouth says something different. Sometimes the people are like, I want you to go, but then when you get ready to go, they really want you to stay. I know this can be confusing, right? This is when you have to make a choice for yourself. But then sometimes people will say, I love you, but I just, right now, I'm just not in that space. Or I'm interested in you, but this is the thing that is keeping me from being with you. Listen to that. Why are you trying to convince somebody to be in your space? Let's stop it. Let's stop it. Let's make room for the people that want to be in our space, right? If you are a person, and I'm going to say this one more time and then I'm jumping off of here. Um, if you are a person who is spending time in your life trying to convince somebody to be in your space, and they are giving you the opposing, right? If they are bringing in confusion, if they're not giving you confirmation, if they're not giving you what you need, go with that and take a step back and choose yourself. Do not settle. Do not force yourself to settle for people who are indecisive about you, for people who have said, this ain't the time. Can you love somebody and they still not be in alignment with you? The answer is yes. I have that. I have people in my life that I love, but the requirements to have them in my space is not in alignment with me. Not right now. Is that to say they will never be in that space? Nah. Is it to say that there's an opportunity they could be in that space? Maybe. But if you spending your time, like I said, this video is for you. You're spending your time, and I'm sounding like a broken record, trying to convince somebody to do what you want them to do to make you happy, or you're giving them an ultimatum. You need to tell me what to do to make you happy so that I can stay with you. Right? Like I said earlier, when did you start loving the other person more than you started loving yourself? Because that is what denial is. That is what delusion is. I'm going to say it again. Delusion is what? An affirmation of the contrary. Thank you, Webster 1828. What is denial? Denial is refusal of acknowledgement of something or the facts. Thank you, Webster 1828 dictionary. Take time today. Think about the things that you are fantasizing about, things that you are creating, and things that you are trying to convince people of. And then choose yourself. It's not your job to fix everybody's experience, to make them happy. It's your job to learn these experiences and move forward on the things that you want and you deserve in your life. And it's time for you to stop settling. Right. Message is also for me because, like I told you guys, I feel like I pretty much got this thing conquered. There's a couple things that I'm working on. But this part, accepting people for who they are, who they're showing me and telling me, this is going to be crucial for your growth. Denial and delusion. And I hope you got the message because I repeated it several times. I gave you stories. I don't know what else to tell you, but hopefully you got the message. If you still find yourself needing help, you can go to my website, bookwithtina.com, and you can get a coaching session or you can get an intuitive reading. And let me tell you, when you get your reading, don't be thinking that it's coming in here that I'm going to give you everything you want, because I'm not. I'm going to relay the message just as it is, not in the stage of denial. You have a choice. You have a choice. Okay? I love you guys. Be awesome. Be amazing. Be wonderful and great. And I will see you guys on the other side of my website when you book your appointment. Make sure that you compliment at least 10 people a day, because you never know whose life you can change. You never know whose vibration you can raise up. And you never know what door of opportunity you can open up by simply paying a compliment. And now I'm about to go exercise. Do some stretching and exercise for yourself today as well. Not just your physical body, but your mind. Love you. Mwah.